Hello and welcome to the Forex Pass Indicator Suite installation, setup, and usage video. In this video I'm going to go through how to download, how to install the Forex Pass Indicator software, what the installer looks like, exactly it's going to do, how to use this in your MetaTrader 4 platform, and the basic premise behind the system. Alright, what you see here is the Forex Pass installer that you download from the website here. It should have the link either below or above the video, and it should be on the same page. And it will allow you to install the indicators to your computer on all of your MetaTrader 4s at the same time, and even will allow you to pick which MetaTrader 4s you would like it to install it to. So let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. So now I've downloaded it to my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and double click it, which will open up the Forex Pass Indicator Suite Setup Wizard, and this will guide you through the entire process. So we're going to go ahead and click Next. It's going to let you know that you need to close down all of your MetaTrader 4 terminals before installing the software. This is to make sure that it is installed correctly and all the files are put where they need to be properly. Now it's going to list all of your drives, all of your hard disk drives on your computer. And mine just so happens to only have a C drive, but if you had more than one hard drive in your computer, they would be listed here. And when it's asking you which drives that it needs to search in order to locate your MetaTrader 4s. Now, 99% of the time, it should just be your C drive. Technically, you can leave them all checked if you've got more than one here, and it will search through all of those as well. But whichever drive that you've got your MetaTrader 4 installed on, this is the drive to go ahead and select. So once you click Next, what it's going to do is it's going to start searching through your C drive, or whichever drives you've selected, and it's going to find MetaTraders for you. So right now, I've got quite a few on my computer. So far, it's found 5 of them. And so once it finishes finding them, it's going to list them out for you and allow you to select or deselect which MetaTraders you would like to use. Okay, once we get here, this is going to list out all of the MetaTrader 4s on your drive, and you have the option of selecting or deselecting which ones you want to use. Obviously, you're going to have at least one selected, but by default, it's going to go ahead and select them all for you. Now, once we've picked which ones we want, by simply clicking the next button, it's going to copy all the necessary files, all the indicators, everything that it needs to each one of these MetaTrader 4s properly. It's going to ask you also where you would like to put your Forex Pass program file. Basically, this is the section, this is the folder that's going to hold all of your Forex Pass data. It's going to have all of your indicators, everything that this installer has. It's going to put it in this place, and then it's going to copy it to all of the MetaTrader 4s you selected here. So usually you just leave this as is. Click Next. It's going to just go over it with you one more time. Click Install, and that was very quick. Now it's completely done. It's installed on all of my MetaTraders. So let's go ahead and hit Finish and open up MetaTrader and see what this looks like. Okay, now that we've got our software installed, I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like inside of MetaTrader. On the left-hand side, after you open your MetaTrader 4, you'll see a section called Navigator. Now, this is where all of your indicators, expert advisors, custom indicators, which is what Forex Pass is based on, and scripts are going to be located. You'll also see things like Market Watch and Data Window, but we'll get to that here shortly. If you don't see the Navigator window, if it's just gone, then what you can do is come up here to View, click Navigator, and it brings it back up. You'll also notice that you can click and drag this window around. You can make it what's called a floating window, and you can resize it and even put it back to certain places, like at the top or the back over to the side. Okay, so what we're going to do in order to open up the Forex Pass, we're going to go to File, New Chart. I'm going to go ahead and open up just any chart right now. And I like to turn the grid off. You just right click and go to Grid. And to actually apply the indicators, you can come over here back to the Navigator, click on the custom indicators. It's a little plus sign. It's to make it bigger. And you may have more or fewer custom indicators here, but the ones that we're interested in are the ones that we just installed. You'll see them right here. They start with FX Pass, and they're gray because they're already compiled. That means it already has all the information. There's no need to recompile it. You don't have the source code or anything like that. So you can usually pick it out pretty easy by the gray icons and the FX Pass name at the beginning. Now, to apply these to the chart, you can click and hold down the button on the left hand side and drag it over to the chart and let it go. And what it's going to do is give you this box that basically gives you all of the different inputs that you could possibly use. Now, inputs is the one that we're really interested in. Inputs allow us to change different aspects of the indicator in order to make it work uh, to our specifications, basically. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel and show you that you can do this with all the other ones as well. If you click on inputs, you have all of these different things that you can change, and I'll get to these in a minute and explain to you what they do. And signals as well. Okay. Now that you can see that you can actually attach these indicators, if I were to click the OK button, you can actually see that you can attach these indicators one by one. Even if you don't change anything about the inputs or anything like that, the indicator will go on the chart just by clicking and dragging it over to the chart, letting it go, and clicking the OK button, just like this. Okay, so if you don't want to go this route, if you want everything on the chart all at once, it's very easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new chart. Whoops. Okay, so what you could do is you can actually right click on this chart and go down to template. And I've packaged together a template for you. You got Forex pass signals only and Forex pass. Okay, Forex pass signals only is going to color the chart for you in such a way to where it's very easy to read with a black background. Nice colors for the candlesticks, very easy on the eyes. And you can actually use the zoom tool up here to zoom out. And what this is doing is it's just putting the signal indicator on. All three of these indicators are built into the signal indicator. And what the signal indicator does is it takes all of that information, it puts it together for you, and it displays it in such a way to where it's very easy to understand. Now, if you want to get into the nitty gritty of how the system actually works, then you can actually use the different indicators themselves. Or you right click, come down to template, and select Forex Pass. And what this is going to do is it's going to apply all of the indicators for you with default values, with the same candlestick colors and things of that sort. And it's going to allow you to put the indicators on the chart very quickly and very easily. Okay, so while the indicator's on the chart, if you want to change some of the information about how it works, and once again, I'll go over exactly what these are with you here in a minute, but you can just right click on the indicator down here at the bottom, and then go to properties. What it's going to do is it's open this window back up, very familiar, and allow you to change any of these values simply by double clicking on them, putting the new value in, clicking OK. So you'll notice that it actually changed the way this indicator looks. Same goes with any of the other indicators. Like these lines, for example, you can right click, go into properties, and change the values. To remove them, you can just right click on any part of it and go to delete indicator, and it'll do the exact same thing. And there we have it. Okay, so now that we've downloaded them, we've installed them, we know how to apply them to the chart and change the values. Let's kind of dive into what exactly this system is, what it does, how it works, and how it can better your trading. So a very, very, very good way to trade, and one of the best ways I think to trade, is based off something that's called price action. Now, all price action is basically the way that price moves. So these candlesticks here are showing you on, in this case, an every hour basis, shows you how far the currency has moved. So you can see it's very apparent that this currency moved down very quickly, consolidated, then moved down again, then turned around and moved back up. It's very easy to read a candlestick chart. So what these indicators do is it takes that concept even further. It starts to give you entry and exit signals based specifically on how price has been moving in the past, and dictates trends, breakouts, things like that. Helps you speculate on as to how it's going to be moving in the future. Okay, the first indicator I want to touch on is this channels indicator. It's this one that has the upper line, the lower line, and the middle line here. Okay, what these channels are is it's basically taking the highest high and the lowest low of the back 10 bars in this case, and it's plotting it. So whenever the price tends to, let's see if I can find an example right here. So the price tends to kind of consolidate and get smaller and smaller. These channels are going to naturally get smaller and smaller to hug price. Now, when that happens, you have a very unique situation. You can actually have what's called a breakout, which is what's happening right here. So as soon as this price comes up and hits this value, there's a higher than normal probability that it will continue up. In this case, it definitely did. Same thing goes for the down portion. So here's another fairly decent example. See price begin to consolidate around this area here. You'll see that we get a noticeable breakout and a continuation of the trend, all based on price action. And all we're doing is paying attention to price action. This middle line is a wonderful, what I like to call, moving stop. What it's going to do is it's going to naturally move with price because it's the difference between the top band and the lower band. So this is always directly in the middle. Okay, so it's going to move with price, and as soon as price closes back above it, which it does in this area here, not necessarily touched it, but closes back above it, then that's when our exit should be. And you'll see in this case, that's a pretty sizable move that we were able to get a hold of. That's 63 pips over 20 candles. So 63 pips in a day on one currency pair in one direction. Now, as you can see, you can actually change these values. 35 is another one of my favorites. It's a much longer term. And you remember what's going on here is it's showing you the highest high or the lowest low, the highest high being the top band, lowest low being the bottom band of the past X number of candles. In this case, 35. So as I scroll back, you can see that we still get to pretty well the same opportunities. It's just we are able to hold on to these positions for a very long time. You'll see it doesn't close until we get back above this bar here. And that is a much longer trade, but you get many more pips out of it, 145 in this case. You'll see the same thing can happen down here. It's the exact same situation. Get into a sell. Has to come back a bit, but another 176, 175 pips in this trade all by itself. Okay, so there are times where you will get little false breakouts and signals and things of this sort depending on your settings. So I developed a couple of extra indicators to help you understand when a good time to get in and when a good time to get out is. In other words, it helps you filter these little pops. And this is called the channel mash indicator. Now this is going to take a little bit of explaining, but it is a very brilliant concept and it is extremely powerful. Okay, if you think back, let me go ahead and hit cancel here. If you think back to this indicator, the channels indicator, say we begin at 10. Let's say also we add another one that's 20. Let's say also we add another one that's 30 and 40. Now the information here, 50, is wonderful. The information here that you could use is wonderful, but it is absolutely cluttered and just absolutely crazy. The more information that you can get from these channels indicators, the more accurate you stand to be when it comes to picking your direction. And people historically have always used system or ideas like this in order to create very very nice trend following systems. If you've ever heard of an Ichimoku cloud indicator, you'll notice that this looks extremely similar to that. Now what I've done is I've taken all of these indicators, and instead of having to apply a whole bunch of them to try to get a whole bunch of different information, you only need to apply one. And this one is going to show you a histogram with all the same data and much easier to read. Okay, so bars back start is where we're going to start. So remember a minute ago I started at 10, went to 20, went to 30, then 40, then 50. Bars back end is where we're going to end. So instead of ending at 50, here we're going to end at 100. And step is by how many you want to go. So let's say I did this. We would start at 10 and we would step by 5 to 100. So we would go 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, all the way up to 100. Or I could do up to 300 by 20s. Start at 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, all the way up to 300. For the time being, though, we're going to go ahead and leave it at 10, 10, and 100 to show you what this looks like. Now keep in mind, even as you start to get into the bigger numbers, as you start to play with this indicator and kind of give it some bigger numbers, you're going to get into a situation where it might feel like it takes a minute for the indicators to attach. And that's simply because it has to, behind the scenes, if you will, attach all of these indicators. This is 10 indicators here, but if I were to do something like this, it would be 50 indicators. And these indicators aren't very processor intensive. They're not going to slow down your computer, but it will take a little bit of time for them to all attach before it can start to build your information. So if it seems like it's taken a minute, after you click OK, just give it a few seconds and it should go just fine. Let's see what it looks like. If I click OK, see how it takes a second and then it shows up. Okay, let's take a look at how this works. These are the default values, and what this is doing is it's showing you. You'll see that it goes up to 11 or 10, excuse me. It just looks like it goes up to 11 because that's the next step. But these values go up to 10 on both the positive and the negative side here. This is basically just a histogram showing you if price is above the middle line. See, I'll go ahead and add this back on so you can see. If price is above the middle line, the close price is above this middle line here, then we add one to the upside. If price is below this middle line for any of the given indicators, we add one to the downside. So literally what this is showing you is with all of those indicators, I call it the mash because it mashes them all together. With all those indicators being applied in the background, it's showing you how many have price above this middle line and how many have price below this middle line. And if you'll just kind of take notice here, it becomes very easy to pinpoint out certain market conditions. For example, right here, where we begin to go back and forth very quickly, that means the market is as flat as it can possibly get. You know, whenever we're going back and forth like this, that you would not want to get into a situation where you're attempting to trade, you know, breakouts and trends in this situation. So you can begin to see how this can become a filter. However, whenever we start big strong moves, you'll see that it holds on to this move for quite some time and it gets in it very early. Same with this direction. So if we're beginning about here and we are exiting on our first red right over here, that is one killer move that you've gotten yourself into, and it's all based on price action. The oldest trick in the book, basically. It's all how you use it. So this is a 150 pip move, and then you'll see it immediately turns around and begins to go in the other direction, of which we would be looking to stay in that trade as well, 148. So this is powerful enough to be used as a system on its own, but what we're using it for is what's called filtering. So if we ever get in situations where, like here, for example, here's a really good example. You'll see that as we move up, you know, we're staying in our trades and getting in new ones and staying in the trades and catching most of this. But whenever we come down